In the previous class, we started the structure of ear, that is the phonoreceptor ear. And in the ear, we have discussed that ear consists of three parts. One that is known as the external ear, second one that is known as the middle ear, and third one that is known as the internal ear here. I told that they are present, a pair of ears are present in the temporal region. We have already discussed that they are present in the temporal region here. There are two parts of the external ear. Yesterday we started two parts of the external ear. One that is known as the pinna, and second one that is known as the external auditory canal. Second one that is known as the external auditory canal. So these are the two parts of the ear. Pinna, one part of the ear, that is the pinna, and second part of ear, that is the external auditory canal is there. We have discussed a lot about the pinna. That pinna, that is the presence of pinna, is a characteristic feature of mammals here, but it is absent in few mammals, like we have discussed whale, sea cow, and we have discussed in prototherians. The pinna is absent here. Pinna, it is consists of three parts. Yesterday I told. Pinna, it is consist of three parts. First, that body of pinna, lobule, and tragus. What is tragus? That is the triangular shaped structure, that is known as the tragus here. That is triangular shaped structure, that is known as the tragus here. Pinna is consist of two layers. Outer layer, that is the skin, and inner layer, that is the cartilage here, that is the elastic cartilage here. And in pinna we have discussed two muscles are there, protector pinni and retractor pinni. What is the function of protector retractor pinni? Movement of the ear pinna. But in human beings they are the vestigial, but they are functional in few mammals, dogs like cats, elephant. So that property is known as the auditory acuity. We discussed this all here. And what is the function of pinna? That is the collection of the sound waves here. What is the function of pinna? That is the collection of sound waves. Collection of sound waves. Collection of sound waves, that is the function of pinna here. Collection of sound waves, that is the function of pinna here. So now, today we are going to start the external auditory canal. External auditory canal is the part of external ear. External auditory canal, it is a part of external ear. It is a canal-like structure. It is a canal-like structure. It is a canal-like structure. We have discussed that after the tragus, the canal that is known as the external auditory canal. It is also known as the external auditory meatus. It is also known as the external auditory meatus. It is also known as the external auditory meatus. Internally it is lined by a layer of skin. Internally it is lined by a layer of skin. Internally it is lined by a layer of skin. Internally it is lined by a layer of skin, having modified sebaceous glands. It is having modified sebaceous gland. The ear is having the modified sebaceous gland. Ear is having the modified sebaceous gland, and the name of these modified sebaceous glands are the ceruminous gland. Ceruminous gland. The name of these modified sebaceous gland is the ceruminous gland, which is also known as the Beck's gland here. So ceruminous gland, they are also known as the Beck's gland, and here they are present in the external auditory canal. They are related with the formation of Beck's. They are related with the formation of Beck's here. Number of ceruminous gland in one ear, that is approximately 4,000. 4,000 ceruminous glands are present in the one ear here. So this one is the external auditory canal. And what is the function of external auditory canal? That is the condensation. That is the condensation of sound waves. Condensation of sound waves. Condensation of sound waves. It is the function of the external auditory canal here. So this one is the external auditory canal. Canal-like structure lined by a layer of skin, having the modified sebaceous gland known as the ceruminous gland, also known as the Beck's gland. Number is 4,000, and they are related with the condensation of sound waves here. So the ear pinna is related with the collection of sound waves. Ear pinna related with the collection of sound waves, and external auditory canal meatus, it is related with the condensation of sound waves here. It is related with the condensation of the sound waves here. Now we are coming on the second part of the ear, that is known as the middle ear. That is known as the middle ear here. Now we are going to discuss about the middle ear here. Middle ear, it is a cavity-like structure. Middle ear, it is a cavity-like structure. So see the diagram carefully related with the middle ear. It is a cavity-like structure. So it is looking like this. It is a cavity-like structure. It is looking like this here. Just see here. This is the middle ear. Here, this is the middle ear. Here there is a duct or tube. That is known as the eustachian tube here. It is the eustachian tube. Okay. So now just see. This is the middle ear. And what are the structures present in the middle ear? See carefully here. This is the membrana externa. This is the membrana externa. It means it is present on the outer side. If it is the middle ear, it is present between middle ear and external ear. This is the membrana externa, or it is also known as the tympanic membrane. This is also known as the tympanic membrane. This is also known as the tympanic membrane, or it is known as the tympanum, or it is known as the tympanum, or it is known as the eardrum, or it is known as the eardrum. Like if you will say about the frog and reptiles, birds, they are having a tympanum that represents the external ear here, that represents the ear. So membrana externa, tympanic membrane, tympanum, or eardrum. This is here. Now just see. At this point, the depression is maximum in the membrana externa or tympanic membrane. At this point, the depression is maximum. At this point, the depression is maximum. This point is known as the umbo. This point, the depression is maximum. This point is known as the umbo. So the point on tympanic membrane where the depression is maximum, that is known as the umbo. The point on tympanic membrane where the depression is maximum, that is known as the umbo here. The point on tympanic membrane where the depression is maximum, that is known as the umbo here. So it is the membrana externa, or tympanic membrane, or tympanum, or eardrum here. This is the ear here. This one is the membrana interna. This one is the membrana interna. This one is the membrana interna here. So this part is the membrana interna, and on the membrana interna there are two openings. In the membrana interna there are two openings. On this side there is the internal ear here. So on the membrana interna there are two openings. This opening is known as the fenestra ovalis. Fenestra ovalis, because it's a oval shape here. So this is known as the fenestra ovalis. This is known as the fenestra ovalis, or it is also known as the fenestra vestibuli. It is also known as the fenestra vestibuli. Fenestra ovalis, or it is also known as the fenestra vestibuli. It is also known as the oval window. It is also known as the oval window. It is also known as the oval window here. It is also known as the oval window, that is the fenestra ovalis here. Now it is round window, that is known as the fenestra rotundus. That is known as the fenestra rotundus. It is the round window, that is known as the fenestra rotundus. It is also known as the fenestra cochlea. It is also known as the fenestra cochlea, or it is known as the round window. It is known as the round window here. So there are two openings in the membrana interna. One, that is upper one, fenestra ovalis, that is known as the fenestra vestibuli, oval window. Second one, that is known as the fenestra rotundus, that is the fenestra cochlea, that is also known as the round window here. Now in the middle ear cavity, three ear osculus are present. In the middle ear cavity, three ear osculus are present. From outside inward, the sequence is the malleus, incus, and stapes. So these three membranes are present in the middle ear, malleus, incus, and stapes here. And now here we will say between membrana externa and malleus there is a muscle, and here there is a muscle here. So we will discuss all related with the ear osculus here. Here I am saying how many ear osculus? Three ear osculus are there. Now just see here. There is a tube that is known as the eustachian tube. And this eustachian tube is connecting the middle ear cavity with the pharynx here, with the nasopharynx here. with the nasopharynx, that is connecting with the eustachian tube with the nasopharynx here, or we can say it is connected with the pharynx here, and here there is one muscle. Here there is one muscle which is making close the opening of this eustachian tube. That is known as the tensor. That is known as the tensor palatii. That is known as the tensor palatii here. The name of the muscle that is known as the tensor palatii here. Here between membrana externa and malleus there is a muscle. This is a muscle that is known as the tensor. That is known as the tensor tympani. The name of the muscle is known as the tensor tympani, which is present between the malleus and the membrana externa. That is known as the tensor tympani. The muscle which is present between the malleus and membrana externa, that is known as the tensor tympani, and between the stapes and membrana interna, that is known as the stapedius. The muscle is known as the stapedius, and this is the smallest muscle of the body. Stapedius, it is the smallest muscle of the body here. It is the smallest muscle of the body here. We will discuss this all in detail also, but just first see the representation of middle ear here. So see, middle ear is the part which is present between the external ear and the internal ear. Boundaries: outside membrana externa, tympanic membrane, tympanum, eardrum. A depression that is known as the umbo. Membrana interna, two openings: fenestra ovalis, fenestra rotundus. Fenestra ovalis, fenestra vestibuli, fenestra rotundus, fenestra cochlea. Three ear oscles: malleus, incus, stapes. And here between the membrana externa malleus there is one tensor tympani. Between the stapes and membrana interna, that is the stapedius, and this is the eustachian tube, and here the opening is bounded by a muscle that is known as the tensor palatii here. So this one is about the representation related with the middle ear cavity here. Now we have to discuss in detail about the ear oscle and about the eustachian tube also. So we have to discuss these two things in detail here. One that is known as the ear oscles, and second one that is the eustachian tube here. So first I am going to discuss in detail about the ear oscles here. So first note down the heading, that is known as the ear oscles. Ear oscles, they are the small bones. They are the small bones, so they are known as the ossicles. They are the ear oscles present in the ear. First we are saying sequence. What is the sequence of these ear oscles? Sequence from outside inward. The sequence is MIS. It means malleus, incus and stape. That is the three: malleus, incus and stape. These are the three ear oscles here. Malleus, incus and stapes, these are the three ear oscles here. When we are saying about the size, relative size of these three, you are getting M for malleus, I for incus, S for stape. That is the stapes here, that is the name of a bone, and it is the smallest bone of the body. The smallest bone of the body, that is the stapes here. When we are saying about the size, malleus is greater than incus than stape. It means in three ear oscule, the malleus is the largest and stapes is the smallest here. And also you have to remember one point, that stapes, it is the smallest bone of the human body also. The smallest bone of the human body. The smallest bone that is related with the human body, that is the stape here. So that is the size. Malleus is the largest and stapes is the smallest here. When we are saying about their shape, the malleus, it is hammer shaped. The malleus, it is hammer shaped. Malleus is the hammer shaped. Incus, that is the anvil shaped. And stapes, that is the stirrup shape. That is the stirrup shape. What is stirrup shape? Like when we are going to sit on the horse, that is a structure is there where we are putting our leg. and just going up, that is known as the stirrup. So malleus is the hammer shape. Anvil, that is used in agriculture, an instrument like structure, that is the anvil shape here, and stirrup, that is steppies, is the stirrup shape here. So malleus is the hammer shape, anvil is the incus is the anvil shape, and stirrup, that is steppies, that is the stirrup shape here. When we are saying about the muscles, what are the muscles present here? So you have to remember related with muscle between membrana externa and malleus. Between membrana externa and malleus there is a muscle that is known as the tensor tympani. That is known as the tensor tympani. That is known as the tensor tympani. Between membrana externa and malleus, there is tensor tympani, and between the stapes and the membrana interna, there is a muscle that is known as the stapedius, and stapedius, it is the smallest muscle in the human body here. So we can say between membrana externa and malleus there is tensor tympani, and between stapes and membrana interna, that is the stapedius muscle is there, and stapedius, it is the smallest muscle. It is the smallest muscle in our body here. So this one is about the muscles here. Size, we have discussed size, we have discussed shape, and we have discussed about the muscles here. Muscles between, I told muscles between malleus and membrana externa, that is the tensor tympani, and between the stapes and membrana interna, that is the stapedius. Stapes is the smallest bone, and stapedius, that is the smallest muscle of the body here. We can say that origin of these three oscles, that you have to remember that these ear oscles are originated from some other bones. They originated from some other bones. The ear oscles are originated from some other bones during embryonic stage. They originated from some other bones here. The ear oscles are originated from some other bones during the embryonic stage here. Here you have to remember Miss AQH. Here you have to remember Miss AQH. The malleus is originated from the articular bone of the jaw. The malleus originated from the articular bone of the jaw. Incus originated from the quadrate bone. And stapes, that is originated from the hyomandibular bone. So malleus from the articular bone, incus from the quadrate bone, and stape originated from the hyomandibular bone here. So these ear oscles originated from some other bones during the embryonic stage here. Like malleus originated from the articular bone of the jaw, incus originated from the quadrate bone, and stape, it is originated from the hyomandibular bone. And these modification takes place during the embryonic stage here. So this you have to remember related with the origin, like Miss AQH. I told Miss AQH, malleus from the articular bone, incus from the quadrate bone, and stapes from the hyomandibular bone here. So this you have to remember here. When we are saying about the joints, which type of joints present between these three bones here? I told three bones, malleus, incus, and stapes. Here, that is between malleus and incus, that is the synovial hinge joint. That is the synovial hinge joint. And here, that is the ball and socket joint. Ball and socket joint between the incus and stapes. The type of joint, that is the ball and socket joint here. So these are the small points that you have to remember Between malleus and incus, that is the synovial hinge joint, and between incus and stapes, that is the ball and socket joint is present here. So this you have to remember related with joints here. Now, when we are saying about the functions of ear oscills, so first function that you have to remember, they are not providing, ear oscills are not providing skeletal support. They are not providing the skeletal support. They are not providing skeletal support. They are not providing skeletal support. They are helpful. They are helpful. They are helpful in the process of learning. They are helpful in the process of hearing. They are helpful in the process of hearing here. So ear oscills are not providing any skeletal support. They are not providing any skeletal support. They are helpful in the process of hearing here. They are helpful in the process of hearing. That is the function here. Not providing skeletal support. Helpful in the process of hearing here. Now, what is the function of the ear oscill here? The function of the ear oscill, that is the amplification of sound waves. That is the amplification of sound waves here. The function of ear oscills, that is the amplification of sound waves here. This you have to remember, that ear oscills are related with the amplification of sound waves here. And here total amplification, that is the 12.2 times. Total amplification of sound which is done in the middle ear, that is the 12.2 times here. So ear oscills are related with the amplification of sound waves. They are related with the amplification of sound waves, and here total amplification, that is the 12.2 times here. So the function of ear oscill, they are not providing the skeletal support, but they are helpful in the process of hearing. 12.2 times, that is the amplification of sound waves here. 12.2 times, that is the amplification of sound wave. 10 times it is due to the lever system. It is due to the lever system present between the bones. Present between the bones. Present between the bones. 10 times it is due to the lever system present between the bones. And 2.2 times it is due to the membrane, because they are going to strike on the membrane. So it is producing 2.2 times here. So total amplification of sound waves which is done by the ear oscill, that is the 12.2 times. 10 times due to the lever system present between the bones, and 2.2 times that is due to the membrane, because the bones they are going to strike with the membrana interna here. So that is the 12.2 times amplification of sound wave which is done by the ear oscills here. So this all you have to remember about the ear oscill. I told relative size, shape, muscles, then I told what is the type of joint, their origin and their function here. After the ear oscill, in the middle ear there is one important thing is there, that is known as the eustachian tube. Eustachian tube, it is a tube connecting. Eustachian tube is a tube which is connecting middle ear cavity. It is connecting middle ear cavity. It is connecting middle ear cavity with the nasopharynx here. It is connecting middle ear cavity with the nasopharynx here. So eustachian tube is a tube. Eustachian tube is a tube connecting middle ear cavity with the nasopharynx here. I run like this. Right? Remembering. I run like this. This is the eustachian tube here connecting middle ear cavity with the nasopharynx here. Second one, made up of, eustachian tube is made up of elastic cartilage. It is made up of elastic cartilage. Eustachian tube is made up of elastic cartilage. Internally lined by, eustachian tube internally lined by, it is internally lined by pseudo-stratified. It is internally lined by the pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar epithelium. Ciliated columnar epithelium. It is lined by pseudo-stratified ciliated columnar epithelium. the opening of eustachian tube, the opening of eustachian tube in the nasopharynx, in the nasopharynx, the opening of eustachian tube in the nasopharynx, the opening of eustachian tube in the nasopharynx is guarded by a muscle. It is guarded by a muscle. The opening of eustachian tube in the nasopharynx is guarded by a muscle that is known as the tensor palatii. That is known as the tensor palatii here. The opening of eustachian tube here. This name of this muscle is the tensor palatii. The opening of eustachian tube in the nasopharynx is guarded by a muscle that is known as the tensor palatii here. So opening of eustachian tube in the nasopharynx, it is guarded by a muscle that is known as the tensor palatii here. When we are saying about this opening here, this opening is normally closed. The opening of eustachian tube, the opening of eustachian tube in the nasopharynx is normally closed. The opening of eustachian tube in the nasopharynx, it is normally closed. It is normally closed, but it opens. But it opens during some emergencies. But it opens during some emergency, like if there is high light intensity. If there is high light intensity, then it is getting opening here. So, but normally the opening is closed. Normally the opening of eustachian tube in the nasopharynx is closed, but it opens during some emergency like high light intensity. It is getting open here. Now we are coming on the last point related with the eustachian tube. What is the function of eustachian tube? What is the function of eustachian tube? The function of eustachian tube is to equalize the ear pressure. The function of eustachian tube is to equalize the ear pressure on the both side of middle ear. The function of eustachian tube is to equalize, please note it down carefully. The function of eustachian tube is to equalize the air pressure on the both side of the middle ear. This is the function here. The function of eustachian tube is to equalize the air pressure on the both side of the middle ear here. So this one is about the middle ear. We have discussed in detail about the coverings. We have discussed about the ear oscle. Then we have discussed about the eustachian tube here. Function of eustachian tube to maintain the air pressure, and it is about 10 to 15 mm of Hg here, and it is 10 to 15 mm of Hg, and it is trying to equalize the air pressure on the both side of the middle ear. Now we are coming on the last part of the ear, that is known as the internal ear. So please note down this heading, that is known as the internal ear. We are going to discuss in detail about the internal ear here. The internal ear is present in a bony structure. The internal ear is present in a bony structure. The internal ear is present in a bony structure that is known as the bony, that is known as the bony labyrinth. That is known as the bony labyrinth. Internal ear is present in a bony structure that is known as the bony labyrinth ear. Getting internal ear, it is present in a bony structure like this, and this is known as the bony labyrinth ear. The bony labyrinth is filled with a fluid. The bony labyrinth is filled with a fluid. This bony labyrinth, it is filled with a fluid here. The bony labyrinth is filled with a fluid. This fluid is known as the perilymph. This fluid is known as the perilymph here. This fluid is known as the perilymph here. So the internal ear, it is present in a bony structure that is known as the bony labyrinth, and here it is filled with a fluid that is known as the perilymph here. In the bony labyrinth, some membranous structures are there. In the bony labyrinth, some membranous structures are there. Membranous structures are present. Some membranous structures are present in the bony labyrinth. Some membranous structures are present, collectively known as the membranous labyrinth. They are collectively known as the membranous labyrinth. They are collectively known as the membranous labyrinth here. So in the bony labyrinth, some membranous structures are present, which are collectively known as the membranous labyrinthia. So in the bony labyrinth, some membranous structures are present which are collectively known as the membranous labyrinthia, and they are filled with a fluid. They are filled with a fluid. They are filled with a fluid that is known as the endolymph. The membranous labyrinth are filled with a fluid that is known as the endolymph. In all the membranous labyrinth, with some exception, we will discuss in detail here. With some exception, a fluid is filled that is known as the endolymphia. That is known as the endolymphia. So if I will say that these are the membranous structures. These are the membranous structures which are present in bony labyrinthia. So these membranous structures are filled with a fluid, red color, that is the endolymph. I am saying that is the endolymph, with some exception in the membranous labyrinth, endolymph is filled. With some exceptions in the membranous labyrinth, endolymph is filled. It is endolymph which is filled here. So this one is the endolymph. So we can say bony labyrinth is filled with the fluid that is known as the perilymph, and in the perilymph, membranous structures are there which are known as the membranous labyrinth, and they are filled with the fluid that is known as the endolymphia. So this one is about the bony labyrinth and about the membranous labyrinth, their position. So internal ear, it is present in a bony structure that is known as the bony labyrinth. Some membranous structures are embedded here which are known as the membranous labyrinth, and with some exception they are filled with the fluid that is known as the endolymphia. Now when we are saying about the membranous labyrinth, membranous labyrinth is consist of two parts, or it is divided into two parts here. Membranous labyrinth, it is consist of two parts here. First one, that is known as the vestibular. First one, that is known as the vestibular apparatus. First one, that is known as the vestibular apparatus, and second one, that is known as the cochlea. First one, that is known as the vestibular apparatus, and second one, that is known as the cochlea here. Vestibular apparatus consists of three parts. Utriculus, first part, that is the utriculus. Second part, that is known as the saculus. And the third part, that is known as the semicircular canals. Here. So these are the structures we have to discuss in detail related with the membranous labyrinth here. Vestibular apparatus is there, cochlea is there. Vestibular apparatus including utriculus and saculus and semicircular canal, and there is one structure that is known as the cochlea here. When we are saying about the utriculus and saculus, they are related with the static. They are related with the static equilibrium. They are related with the static equilibrium. They are related with the static equilibrium. Utriculus and saculus are related with the static equilibrium. Semicircular canals are related with the dynamic equilibrium. They are related with the dynamic equilibrium. Like you are sitting, at that time static equilibrium, and if I am moving at that time, that is the dynamic equilibrium. So utriculus and saculus, they are related with the static, and semicircular canal, they are related with the dynamic equilibrium. So if you will say this vestibular apparatus is related with the balance, it is related with the balance, static position, that is the balance here. And cochlea is related with the process of hearing. That's why the ear is also known as the stato. Statoacoustic organ. The ear is also known as the statoacoustic organ here. Ear is also known as the statoacoustic organ because it is made up of vestibular apparatus and cochlea. Vestibular apparatus including utriculus, saculus and semicircular canal, and here that is the cochlea. Utriculus sacculus related with the static equilibrium, semicircular canals related with the dynamic equilibrium, and cochlea is related with the hearing. Cochlea is related with the hearing here. So this one is about the composition of membranous labyrinth here. Now we have to discuss in detail about all utriculus, sacculus, semicircular canal and cochlea here. So we are going to discuss one by one. First I will start the utriculus here. That's why if you are remembering the name of the eighth pair of cranial nerve, that is the auditory nerve, that is also known as the stratoacoustic nerve because it is related with the ear. So that ear is known as the strato means balance, acoustic means hearing. It is related with the balance and hearing. So it is known as the stratoacoustic organ here. Now we are coming on the first point, that is known as the utriculus. We are coming on the first point, that is known as the utriculus here. The utriculus, it is a sac-like structure. Utriculus is a sac-like structure like this. It is a sac-like structure. Utriculus is a sac-like structure. Utriculus is a sac-like structure, and internally it is lined by a layer of cuboidal epithelial cells. Internally it is lined by a layer of cuboidal epithelial cells. Internally it is lined by a layer of cuboidal epithelial cells. So these are the cuboidal epithelial cells. Internally the utriculus is lined by a layer of cuboidal epithelial cells. So these are the cuboidal epithelial cells. Internally it is lined by a layer of cuboidal epithelial cells in which some cells are sensory. In which some cells are sensory. In which some cells are sensory. Some cells are sensory. Internally it is lined by a layer of cuboidal epithelial cells in which some cells are sensory here. Known by us that internally it is filled with a fluid. The utriculus is filled with a fluid. The utriculus is also filled with a fluid. And what is the name of the fluid here? Perilymph or endolymph? I told that in the membranous labyrinth mainly it is the endolymph with some exception here. So the fluid which is present here, that is the endolymph here. The fluid which is present here, that is known as the endolymph here. The fluid which is present, that is known as the endolymph here. Now in the body of utriculus, this is the body of utriculus. What I stated, the utriculus is a sac-like structure. Internally it is lined by a layer of cuboidal epithelial cells in which some cells are sensory, and here it is filled with a fluid that is known as the endolymph here. Now in the body of the utriculus, a group of sensory cells is present. In the body of the utriculus, a group of sensory cells is present. A group of sensory cells is present. In the body of the utriculus, a group of sensory cells is present. That is known as the macula. That is known as the macula. Macula, a group of sensory cells. Macula, a group of sensory cells. Macula, a group of sensory cells here. So in the body of the utriculus, a group of sensory cells is present. That group of sensory cells is known as the macula. So in the body of the utriculus, a group of sensory cells is present. That group of sensory cells is known as the macula. Number of macula in internal ear. Number of macula in internal ear, it is the 2. Number of macula in internal ear, it is 2. 1 in utriculus, 1 in utriculus, 1 in utriculus, and 1 in sacculus. So number of macula in internal ear, number of macula in internal ear, that is the 2. 1 in utriculus and 1 in the sacculus ear. So number of macula in internal ear, that is 2. 1 in utriculus and 1 in sacculus ear. In contact with macula, crystals of calcium carbonate and proteins are present. In contact with macula, crystals of calcium carbonate and proteins are present. These are the crystals of calcium carbonate. Crystals of calcium carbonate and proteins are present. In contact with the macula, crystals of calcium carbonate and proteins are present. They are known as the otoliths. they are known as the otoliths. They are known as the otoliths, or they are known as the otoconia here. They are known as the otoliths, or they are known as the otoconia here. In contact with the macula, the crystals of calcium, crystals which are made up of calcium carbonate and proteins are present. They are known as the otoliths or otoconia here. So utriculus is a sac-like structure internally lined by a layer of cuboidal epithelial cells. Some are sensory, filled with a fluid endolymph. In the body of the utriculus, a group of sensory cells is there, that is known as the macula. Number of macula in internally are 2, one in utriculus and one in sacculus here. In contact with this macula, crystals which are made up of calcium carbonate and proteins are present. They are known as the otoliths, or that is known as the otoconia here. That's why the utriculus and sacculus, they are known as the otolith organ. Utriculus and sacculus, they are also known as the otolith organs. They are also known as the otolith organs here. The utriculus and sacculus, they are the otolith because they are having the otoliths here or otoconia here. The function of utriculus, that it helps to maintain the static equilibrium. It means, if I will say who is related with the static equilibrium, that is the macula. Macula is related with the static equilibrium because we have discussed that utriculus and sacculus, they are related with the static balance here. So this all about the structure of the utriculus here. See it carefully. This is the structure of utriculus here. Now the second part of the vestibular apparatus, that is the semicircular canals. Now we are going to discuss first, that is the semicircular canals here. Now we are going to discuss first about the semicircular canal, then we will discuss about the saccular. So the second part, that is the semicircular canal. Semicircular canals. We are going to discuss in detail about the semicircular canals here. What is the number of semicircular canals in human ear? That is the 3. 3 semicircular canals are present in the human ear here, and they originated from the body of the utriculus. Like it is the body of the utriculus. We have already discussed the structure of the utriculus. 3 semicircular canals arises. 3 semicircular canals arises from the body of the utriculus here. See, 3 semicircular canals, they arises from the body of the utriculus. 1, this is the one here, getting 1. This is the first one here. If I will say, this is the 1. Now this is the second. This is the second here. This is the second here. Just see, this is the second here. That is the second semicircular canal. And here, if I will say that this is the third semicircular canal. This is the third semicircular canal which is present here. This is the third semicircular canal here. So this is the rough diagram related with the semicircular canal here. These are the 2. This is the utriculus. Remember always. This is the utriculus here. This is the utriculus. These are the 2 anterior semicircular canal. These are 2 anterior semicircular canal, and this is the one. This is the one posterior semicircular canal. So here at the anterior side, that is the 2 anterior semicircular canal, and on the posterior side there is one posterior semicircular canal. So how many semicircular canal? 3. 2 anterior semicircular canal and 1 posterior semicircular canal. They are present at right angle to each other. They are present at the right angle to each other. They are present at the right angle to each other. Here this point you have to remember. 2 anterior semicircular canals are there and 1 posterior semicircular canal is also there, and they are present right angle to the each other here. Getting, they are present right angle to the each other here. Now just see, there is a common origin. There is a common origin of 2 anterior semicircular canal. There is a common origin. There is a common origin of 2 anterior semicircular canal. There is a common origin of 2 anterior semicircular canal. This is known as the crus commune. This is known as the crus commune here. There is a common origin of 2 anterior semicircular canal. This is known as the crus commune here. So there is a common origin of two anterior semicircular canal, and this is known as the crus communia. So there is a common origin of two anterior semicircular canal, and this common origin is known as the crus communia. So two anterior semicircular canal, one posterior semicircular canal present at the right angle to each other, and there is a common origin of two anterior semicircular canal. This common origin is known as the crus communia. This common origin is known as the crus communia. So now see, they are looking like this. I am going to draw the one semicircular canal here in detail here. Just see that is looking like this. This is the one semicircular canal here. Getting? Semicircular canal, they are also internally lined by semicircular canal, they are also internally lined by a layer of cuboidal epithelial cells. They are also internally lined by a layer of cuboidal epithelial cells, like they are also internally lined by a layer of cuboidal epithelial cells here. So these are the cuboidal epithelial cells which are present at the inner side of this semicircular canals here. So semicircular canal, they are also internally lined by a layer of cuboidal epithelial cells. Similar in the utriculus, they are lined by a layer of cuboidal epithelial cells in which the some cells are sensory. In which the some cells are sensory here. They are the some cells, and these some cells are sensory here. The semicircular canal, it is also semicircular canal. It is also filled with a fluid that is known as the endolymph. So the semicircular canal, it is also filled with a fluid. It is also filled with a fluid here. It is also filled with a fluid. That fluid is known as the endolymph. So I am not going to write here. That is the endolymph which is present in all the three semicircular canals here. So semicircular canal, they are also filled with a fluid that is known as the endolymph. Before entering back into the body of utriculus, a swelling is present in the semicircular canal. Before entering back, we have discussed where is the utriculus. So before entering back here, before entering back into the body of utriculus, a swelled part is present in the semicircular canal. This is known as the ampulla. This is known as the ampulla semicircularis. This is known as the ampulla semicircularis. This is known as the ampulla semicircularis. Before entering back into the body of utriculus, a sac-like structure is present. A swelling is present in the semicircular canal. That is known as the ampulla semicircularis here. Getting? So in one semicircular canal there is one ampulla, and here the swelled part, that is known as the ampulla here. Now in the ampulla, a group of sensory cells is present. In the ampulla, a group of sensory cells is present. In the ampulla, a group of sensory cells is present. That is known as the crista. That is known as the crista. That is known as the cristae ampullaris, because it is present in the ampulla. So it is known as the cristae ampullaris. This is known as the cristae ampullaris here. So before entering back into the utriculus, a sac-like structure, ampulla semicircularis, and here if I will say a group of sensory cell is present, that is known as the cristae or cristae ampullaris here. Number of cristae in internal ear, number of crista or cristae in internal ear, it is 3. It is 3. One in each semicircular canal. One in each semicircular canal. The number of cristae in internal ear, it is 3. One in each semicircular canal here, and one in each semicircular canal. And cristae is covered by a gelatinous membrane like this. Cristae is covered by a gelatinous membrane, that is known as the cupula here. Cristae is covered by a gelatinous membrane, that is known as the cupula. And what is the function of cristae or semicircular canal? They are related with the dynamic equilibrium here. They are related with the dynamic equilibrium. They are related with the dynamic equilibrium here. So 3 crista, 2 macula are present in the internal ear here. Tomorrow again I will say something about the semicircular canal, then I will discuss about the sacculus, then we will come on the cochlea here. Okay, thank you, all the best, thank you.